I'm the Fairy Voice Mother. Today, I hope you'll join me on this expedition into Bonnie Tyler's larynx. The request that I've had for years regarding Bonnie Tyler's performance catalogue is Total Eclipse of the Heart from 1986, which is, from what I gather, when she was in her prime. But upon further research, I realised that this prime was an accident. That signature Bonnie Tyler rasp, known and loved by literally billions, the official video has over 1 billion views, is not the original Bonnie Tyler at all. And it is not when her voice was at its technical best in terms of health. So to cut a long story short, Bonnie Tyler developed vocal nodules. So basically what happens is these two lovely soft little tissues you've got there grow little balls each side, and because of those balls, nodules, the vocal folds can no longer close all the way, which is what gives us that clean, bright sound with no air through it. And a lot of singers actively sing with nodules. A recent one I discovered was a very young singer called Sienna Spiro.
I love girls with raspy speaking voices, like some of the sexiest things ever.
It's actually terrible. I'm myself here. Yeah, it's nodules. Like, makes my voice really raspy even when I sing as well. I do my best to like keep it alive, but like sometimes it will just go.
Loads of singers have them. Some singers choose to sing with these nodules for a while because it gives them that sort of sexy, airy tone. But then obviously because these have developed as a result of repetitive strain and friction on that area, the more that you do it, the worse they're going to get. And then untreated, you could seriously things up in there. They could get so big, for example, that you can no longer close your vocal folds at all and be left without much of a voice, which isn't good for a singer. So what they decided to do is remove them. Someone recovering from a surgery on their teeny tiny delicate little vocal folds has to remain silent for at least 6 weeks to make sure that the vocal folds can heal. And I cannot begin to fathom how difficult that must be for a singer. I myself probably couldn't stay quiet and be consciously awake for any more than 2 minutes. One of the many reasons it's difficult to be around me. And so Bonnie Tyler, being a singer, someone that loves using their voice, obviously had a really hard time with this. This part is crazy. It kind of gives me chills to think about it, like this life-altering moment here. So one day she was so frustrated and emotional, she screamed on fragile, unhealed, delicate little vocal folds that have just been surgerized. And so because they were in such a fragile post-operative state, this one scream permanently scarred the edges of her vocal tissues. And so 6 months after this high-impact vocal fold collision, she was finally able to sing again. So I thought it would be quite exciting for us to hear for ourselves the effect of these vocal fold scars. So we're going to have a quick listen to a song that she recorded pre-nodules. I mean, maybe at this point, because this was in 1976, she might have already started to be developing those little nodules because she did have the surgery a year later.
Well, but you know, I was singing for 7 years before I got discovered. I was singing locally for 6 nights a week, and that took a lot of wear and tear on my voice. And I developed nodules 3 times in my career. And they went away with rest twice before.
At least it was definitely pre-surgery scream.
Lost in France, in the fields the birds were singing. I was lost in France, and the day was just beginning. I just stood there in the morning rain.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because you can hear there are moments where it's clean on some of those lower notes. When you sing lower notes, the vocal folds are slacker and they don't have to vibrate together as many times. And so it would be a more forgiving note for something like nodules. But as she starts to go up, you can hear that rasp.
I just stood there in the morning rain.
Her voice kind of cuts out on the there. I just stood there. It just cuts out. In the morning rain. And that rain is very breathy. And that is an indication that there is something in the way. You can just hear it. It's light, but you can really hear that rasp. Another thing that those two words have in common, there and rain, is their open vowels. And those open vowels are harder to sing because there's no pressure in the way of the voice to sort of aid its vibration. So when you're like, ah, the voice has to work harder to make that sound, as opposed to a tiny little vowel like ee. It's easier to make it clean because you got the tongue in the way to give your voice that little bit of resistance. It's interesting to hear this style of vibrato she's using is quite diaphragmatic. Friends. And it sounds a little bit pushed. It's very pretty, but it's not like a natural flowy friends sound. So that is perhaps just a style of singing that she had started to develop. Perhaps she was mimicking someone else, or perhaps it was just a sound that she really liked, and so she kept going with it. But I would hypothesize that maybe that pressure she's putting behind her voice there could have led to that little bit of excess strain, especially if it's time and time again, you know.
I was lost in France, in love. I was lost in France, in the street a band was playing, and the crowd all danced, couldn't catch what they were saying. When I looked up, he was standing there.
And there is, again, a very beautiful sound, but a potential red flag is the crowd. You hear those little light squeaky sounds.
And the crowd,
And
he was
standing there. That little hiss of breath that you hear, you had a little bit of air kind of whistle through before that note was able to close. And we can put that on as an effect, just as I did there, and I don't have nodules, stiffening the voice, elongating the vocal folds and getting that. But it can also indicate that those vocal folds are having a hard time closing, which if she had little baby nodules growing in there, then they would have. She's so cute and awkward. I love her already. So she was 25 in this video. She's very shy and sweet, and you can tell that she felt a bit weird shooting this scene with the cameraman, who she would have had to have held on to probably while she was doing that. She's just doing her thing. That was super gorgeous. Now, let's fast forward 10 years. Big old nodule removal and a big old unsolicited scream and an absolute explosion in her music career, potentially as a result of that. Oh my goodness. So this is a live vocal performance. I haven't really heard the original recording properly, and I was thinking, oh, shall I do the original one? But no, I really wanted to hear what her voice sounds like out of the studio in real life, so we can appreciate all of those details.
Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming round. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of listening to the sound of my tears. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit nervous that the best of all the years have gone by. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit terrified.
It's like a lot of effort in these notes that she's putting in. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of listening to the sound of my tears. And for her to put that much intensity behind those lower notes when it isn't necessarily required, because, you know, the vocal folds are slacker. Closing those vocal folds with quite a lot of... force is too strong a word, but conviction is something that I think that she was doing before, even in the first track, as I was saying with that diaphragmatic vibrato. It might have contributed to the nodules in the first place, but now she's in this position where her vocal folds are just scarred up. Maybe she couldn't really hurt it that badly anymore, so she's able to use that same kind of intense technique, and now her vocal folds are like just handling it. There's a slight bit of huskiness, just as if, you know, if you've had a cold and your voice just feels a little bit more chunky and you've got to use a little bit more effort to speak. It's kind of given me that sort of effect. But honestly, this deliberate nature in which she sings with so much conviction, it's very enrapturing I'm enthralled. I'm hanging on her every word because there's so much intensity. I'm like, I don't know when this is going to change. First of all, like maybe there could be some big moment coming really soon and she's preparing for it. But it's also really piquing my interest because she's so intense in the way that she's using her voice and in the performance as well. It's like you can't look away. It's very engaging.
Every now and then I get a little bit nervous that the best of all the years have gone by.
What? Oh my God.
Now and then I get a little bit terrified, and then I see the look in your eyes. Every now and then I fall apart.
There's so much effort. But that end of that note was so forced that you ended up just getting a glottal stop. So the glottis is the space in between the vocal folds. And it's when you go, the vocal folds just couldn't undulate on that note. This is so interesting.
Every now and then I
there you go.
fall apart. Every now and then I get a little bit helpless, dreaming something wild. Every now and then I get a little bit restless and flying like a child in your arms. Every now and then I get a little bit angry and I know I've got to get up and cry. Every now and then I get a little bit terrified and then I see the look in your eyes. Every now and then I fall apart. Every now and then I fall apart. 'Cause I need you now tonight, and I need you more than ever. And if you only hold me tight, we'll be holding on.
I've got chills on my shin.
And we'll only be making it right. 'Cause we'll never be wrong. Together we could take it to the end of the line. Love is like a shot that would be all of the time. I don't know what to do. I'm always in the dark. Living in a pocket, can't get off the spark.
Oh,
I really need you. I really need you tonight. My room is gonna start tonight. I'm falling apart. Nothing I can say. A total eclipse of the heart.
wow, fair enough.
Total eclipse of the heart.
Aye.
A total eclipse
Oh.
of the heart.
Let me be honest. This sounds cool as I had chills everywhere. They're still there. The overtones that this scarred voice was able to project, it's making my eye twitch. And so how I feel about that, I mean, I can't help it. I thought that was absolutely electrifying and I want to hear it again. I want to get right back on that roller coaster and feel all of those chills again. It's like a nutritionist watching someone eat loads of luminous blue gummy worms and being like, they look delicious. Because her voice is damaged, when it comes together, as opposed to, as I demonstrated previously, a perfect undulation like that with all of the points of closure, there are parts of certain frequencies that she's singing where it's like that, so that it couldn't close properly. So you get these like squeaks and rumbles that come through the notes, and they're absolutely electrifying. Incredible. But before anyone even begins to embark on the path of let's deliberately destroy my vocal folds to see if I get some cool overtones naturally present in my voice, don't do that. I can give you very good reasons. The most obvious one I can think of is that there is no guarantee you will even have a voice left. It is a miracle that she was able to sound the way that she did after such a traumatic event. There are many examples of singers that suffered a similar injury with a completely different, horrific outcome. The most famous one that comes to mind and most tragic one is probably Julie Andrews, who had a crystal clear 4-octave range.
That was known as
That was then completely destroyed overnight in 1997. The vocal surgery that she had was basically botched and it completely destroyed her voice. And she sued the surgeon and everything, apparently.
And now you can't sing at all.
No.
It's not just that you can't hit the high notes. You can't sing.
No, I simply can't do a song for you.
Elton John had quite severe vocal nodules that completely altered his sound. He can still sing, but absolutely nothing like he did before. It was a deterioration. What happened with Bonnie Tyler was a miracle. Part of that miracle could be to do with practising of airflow. So I'm just going to dial up the nerd scale to 11 to finish off. When the vocal folds get to do their lovely closing with their smooth mucosal edges, we call it a laminar airflow. And that is something, for example, someone like Julie Andrews would have really nailed her whole career. It would have been no excess pushing for sort of extracurricular vocal effects, just lovely little happy undisturbed air molecules getting converted into sound with nothing in their way, just super smooth, lovely. Julie. Now, Bonnie Tyler's airflow, on the other hand, is what we call turbulent. It was a turbulent airflow, just like in planes when there's a disruption, because of that scar tissue later, and first because of the nodules. And again, she would have been developing these nodules over time, so she had got used to a turbulent airflow approach to her vocalizations. So she'd gotten used to, over many years, disruption in that airflow. First of all, the nodules, the air was dancing around the nodules, and now it's dancing around scar tissues and God knows what else. And I'm not saying it was easy for her, because looking at this live performance, she doesn't look at ease in any way. She looks very intense. She looks like she's struggling, and this struggle would be making sure her vocal folds stay together against all odds, and making sure that she's able to control her breath flow very far down, making sure that she's got strength in her intercostal muscles between her ribs, making it as steady as possible down here, because it's going to encounter so much turbulence later on. You can't do rogue breaths with this. If you sort of do a little gasp up here, you're not going to get anything. So she's focused on getting that breath flow as smooth as possible for it to later become turbulent. She's focused on making that glottis, that space in between the vocal folds, as tight as possible to give her voice the best chance of coming out. I can just feel it, the way that she goes into that chorus with the strength.
every now and then I pull apart.
You can see the physical force required. She's really going for it, getting that closure in the vocal folds as much as possible. And so it is for this reason, my furry voice children, that Bonnie Tyler's voice is a miracle and a godly accident. There are so many distortion techniques that we can learn safely. Activation of our supraglottic tissues, so the tissues above our true vocal folds, such as our false vocal folds, little chunky things that kind of do this. Our arytenoid cartilages can be done very safely indeed. We can incorporate that into all kinds of raspy singing, and you can sing whatever you want with all kinds of dirtiness in it. I teach these in detail in my course, which is available soon. If you want it in the description, you can have a look. But in my professional opinion, Bonnie Tyler's voice, as it ended up, is something that we will never be able to replicate 100%, and nor should we, because just the way that she had her own miraculous, unique path just for her, that gave her the most amazing career and opportunities for her voice and her expression. There'll be a whole different one with a whole different set of struggles, but equally unique for you as well. And so the moral of the story must be, do not deliberately try and destroy your voice, because you probably will not sound like Bonnie Tyler. And worst case scenario, you could end up with a voice like this, which is not very versatile at all. But if life hands you nodules, make nodule aid, which is a technical term that means support your voice really well with your breath, and train with a coach and a speech language pathologist, and recuperate your voice and accept a brand new rebirth, because it might bring you everything you've ever dreamed of and more. If life doesn't hand you nodules, it will hand you a bunch of other difficult things to deal with as well that you can make difficult aid with them. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've got any favourite performances of Bonnie Tyler or any Bonnie Tyler trivia that I would be interested in hearing, all of it, please do let me know down below in the comments, because I'm so fascinated by this incredible woman and I want to learn about her so that her legacy is appreciated and lives on. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. A giant hug for anyone joining us at the premiere or any time at all. I love you bunches and I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye. It's this ever so slightly diaphragmatic Bonnie Tyler live. It looks like it was filmed on a toaster. Jesus Christ.